there it was, 4th hour, in the ESS. I needed some help starting my senior project. My senior project, of course, was, how do I make a good soda? Why I decided that it was good for my senior project was because, well, it was pretty much obvious. I sell sodas here at Emmons High School. I like soda, and now all the underclassmen call me Soda Boy. Which is fine, but that's the reason why this is my senior project. Because I sold sodas, why not make one? I started Googling on, ways to make my own soda, and the more I Googled, the more distant the answer became. Seemingly, the moment I started it, I started hitting some roadblocks, And this is fine, I said. Not every senior project starts out perfectly, right? So it's fine, it's perfect, it's normal. Not perfect. One recipe called for seltzer water and LaCroix. That's not it. Yeah. Okay, I'll just not use that recipe. I know LaCroix is not good. Another recipe required chemistry. Oh boy, I said to myself. I'll just not use that recipe. No big deal. Another recipe required that I make a mixture of fruit juice and saffron roots, which I needed to order that online off of Amazon for $20, and it comes in a bulky 5-pound bag. That's fine. I'll just and that's exactly where I froze. This senior project that I picked for me just wasn't working out. Even from the start, there were already roadblocks that I had no idea how to get over. I just didn't know how to deal with it. But even I didn't want to freeze. That's the last thing I wanted to do. Because I didn't want to be that guy with a disastrous senior project that just... I didn't want to be that guy. There were too many obstacles I didn't see coming at the beginning of winter break. I had to change my senior project to something. Come on. But if not soda, then what? This is where I had another problem. What else could be more me than soda? I went to the ESS for help on this one. Carlin, thankfully, was able to help. Her and I nailed down what worked for me, what I was good at, and what could actually suffice as a legitimate senior project. It needed to be something that I already had. It needed to be something that I like doing on my free time. Something that fits into a smaller space so I'm not taking up some random teacher's refrigerator. Something that I understood a lot better than making soda initially. And something that I was good at, but I could still improve in. Nice. The idea that we came up with was, of course, Photoshop. I could learn it more. I didn't know everything that there was to about this program, and I can make some pretty cool things without learning anything. If you mess around with it in the correct ways, you can make some pretty cool stuff, but you can also make some pretty funny stuff.
I don't know. Something feels bad.
So, Photoshop. That's what I came up with. But there was one more roadblock that was in my way of starting the senior project and being on my way. And that was what do I make? How do I start this? How do I learn Photoshop? I ended up overthinking the problem way too much, and I got a massive headache. To save that headache, I decided to go on a walk with some of my friends, and
You ready?
yeah. Alright.
Oops, no.
So, we soon arrived at our usual destination.
Sorry, it's like.
It's the next
Well, it's
slide. You keep restarting.
I know. How do I get to the next slide?
Can you hit us through?
Just
Yes. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
next slide.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Thank you. So, we arrived at our usual destination, the gas station, of course. I turned around, and as I was walking down, well, then I turned around, and I snapped this picture of the gas station from Bayfield. I thought it looked pretty cool. I thought it was a nice aesthetic to Bayfield itself. But I saw this picture and I was like, maybe I can make a really cool like desktop wallpaper for this, and maybe use that as a way to start like looking at what I knew and what I didn't know, and I created this, and I thought it was rad. So this helped me kind of visualize where I was in terms of learning what I knew and what I already didn't know. So this was a good start. Now in this photograph, me and my family were walking away from Cuckoo's, back to the parking lot because Durango's kind of weird. We have to park on the other side of the block. Not only I noticed initially that this photo already had more stuff going on than my original picture, or that I created. It's had way more things going on. You can see there's a background, there's a way background. You can see the mountains, the buildings, the cars, the sign, everything. There's already more stuff going on in than what I created. Now, if I were to do the same thing I did to this picture, it would be a lot more difficult. And I thought, okay, this is good. This is a more difficult picture to work with. Therefore, maybe I can refine my skills in something. And I did. I made this picture, which also made for a pretty cool desktop wallpaper. But I'd like to turn your attention to this little spot in the picture right here, which was the most difficult part about it. Not only did I have to cut this vehicle out to make that effect, I had to also cut it out being aware of like this wire anchor right here, this sign, some of this little snow, and a bit of this vehicle was in the way as well. So it made it very difficult to cut out, but I ended up making it work, which I'm very thankful for. And so I was like, okay, this is working out for me. But then I hit the same roadblock, now that I'm finished with, finding out what I was good at and what I wasn't. I still need to make something. I still need to get to the learning part instead of just refining my skills. So I went ahead and asked Kyle to give me a list of things that he knew I had no idea how to do. The first item on that list was making a band poster. I chose Smash Mouth because I like their music. And here I learned how to stitch like multiple photos together. You have one photo on the top, photo in the middle, photo in the bottom. And I also learned a bit about advertising on this picture. You have to make it visible to the naked eye as if someone were standing 20 feet away from the poster. You have to make it visible to the person looking at it. And they can already understand what's going on just with a quick glance. So that was that one. This next project that he had me work on was a animal morph, which I had to pick an animal and have it morph into something. Now, I instantly picked my cat because it's my favorite animal, at least one of my favorite animals. And these are not photoshopped, these are just Instagram filters.
Hi.
Yes, that's Pi. She didn't like it. But I used this picture. I think she looks very cute laying down like that, and I decided, hey, let's use this one. But then the next question popped up, and it was, what do I turn this cat into? Like, this cat resembles nothing else but a cat. So I started thinking, okay, what can I turn my cat into? So apparently my stepbrother has this running joke with this cat, and he also always calls it a waste of space. Space. Planets. Stars. Galaxies. That's something I can work with. So I decided to make 2 pictures with this cat. One looks pretty cool, one looks kind of funny. But I decided to make 2 because I felt like it fell into more, like, this cat's inside of space right here, and this cat's outside of space, but the space is inside, you know. There's where I learned more about blending, more about isolating like black texture and color. And that's what I started with. Now, the next project came and went. It was a very simple one, turning a photograph into an illustration, although I'm not quite happy with this because, I mean, it looks less like a photo, but it doesn't really look much like an illustration for me. But I did get kind of close by basically layering filter after filter after filter in a kind of in a specific order. So that was just the next project. It came and went. And the next one is where I learned how to disperse like PNGs, basically. That's where I learned how to do the Thanos snap effect that you saw in an earlier picture in this presentation. And this is where I learned how to do just that. I took a shoe off of Google Images, added some effects to it, just because I didn't want it to look choppy or like it was taken directly from Google Images, which it was, but I didn't want it to make it look like I didn't put any effort into this. But I did, and I'm thankful for that. Now, that was my entire senior project, though. I guess not. Just want to put it on. That was my entire senior project. If I were to take away one important thing from this senior project, it wouldn't be anything about Photoshop. It would be something about the way I tackled transitioning from one senior project to the next. Essentially, I could not deal with the soda project. Like, I couldn't go on with that. I couldn't do it, basically. I've never been so glad that I have advocated for myself on switching from one senior project that I couldn't work with, that I didn't do, that I didn't want to do, that would have been too much of a burden on other people and myself, and then switch to a senior project that I would ended up enjoying a lot more. I would have enjoyed this. I have enjoyed this senior project. This perfectly describes who I am, who I like to be, what I like to do. And if I were to give a takeaway to the underclassmen when they get to their senior project, I would say, do not be afraid to change your senior project. Do not. If you pick a senior project and winter break goes by and you start your senior project, don't be afraid to change it if you end up not liking it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. We will take questions now from both the audience and the panel.
Yes.
So, I don't know if I ever saw your new question. What was your new question? Or your research question?
My research question was, how can I learn Photoshop effectively?
Okay.
Did you do it before?
Yeah, Jack, I'm really curious to know, like, where do you want to take this Photoshop stuff next? Like, it seems like you've established a really good foundation, and what's your next step here?
I'm going to keep learning this and see if I can, like, start something that would end up becoming my career maybe down the road. And, basically, like, all the things that I've done with Photoshop on the senior project was good, in my opinion, but I just feel like it's not professional grade. Not yet.
And how did you go about learning the new skills? Like, what was your strategy if you were like, I want to learn how to do this? What did you do?
A really good example for the answer for this question is this one, because I couldn't find a direct tutorial on different websites or YouTube. I had to watch one tutorial and then watch another and then keep going until I had a good understanding on what I was doing. Basically take a look at other people, how other people were doing it, and then kind of mash it all together in one giant tutorial inside my head.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
When did you first start playing around in Photoshop? When did you first start
I started freshman year when Roxy gave me access to Photoshop. She installed it from a disk on my laptop, and that was the most 2008 thing I've ever witnessed. Yes.
What did you notice about how you learn when you were using different tools to develop your skills?
I noticed that I've actually picked it up quite kind of quickly. Like, I already understood how the program worked, how it understood what I was putting into it, and pretty much how I understood the program ended up how the program started putting out what I wanted to get out of it. Like, sometimes I would put this filter in it, and what's the question again?
What did you
Sorry.
notice about how you learned when you were using different tools?
When I was using
Yeah.
different tools, I just noticed that I was picking them up pretty quickly.
So what works best for you and what's harder for you?
What's harder for me is going in blind.
Uh-huh.
I need some other outside experience, either looking at someone else doing it or looking at, like I said before in this program right here, I looked at a bunch of other people's experience on how they did it, and then I would pretty much follow along in my own way.
All right, there's no more questions. Thank you very much, Jack.